Hello everyone! Today we have an incredibly interesting review and even a teardown with an internal assessment of the Premiera DS 631. Here they are flanking me. These Russian-made floor-standing speakers are proudly standing in my room, which I personally set up. Yes, this one, with these huge 5-meter high ceilings. Everything in here is designed for testing various audio and video components and uncovering the truth. A truth that I immediately tried to convey and share with all of you. And right next to them are the almost elite Martin Logan speakers. Can you see them? Maybe not. They cost significantly more, and that makes it all the more interesting to compare our Russian school of speaker design with the foreign one. The jacks, the Johns, using my binaural microphones. It's these very gadgets that will allow you through your headphones or a proper stereo system to feel like you're right here in my room and appreciate all the nuances of this setup. That's right. No one else will show you this, I guarantee it. And if they do, it just means, as always, they're copying me. The sound comparison will be at the end, so check out my Telegram channel, the full version will be there, and we also regularly post, all kinds of exclusive content. So we'll be waiting for you. There are already 1,200 people there. We also have a chat where serious audiophiles hang out and we share our impressions and experiences. Basically, it's a really interesting place, folks. Let's start, as always, with the design. Some people write in the comments that Premiera, can you believe it, completely copied the look of the famous, but now rather dated, German Heco Victa Prime model. I know those speakers very well. I've installed them many times. And indeed, both sets of speakers are similar and look like twins. As for which ones look more interesting, well, personally, I find it hard to say. Considering that the Premiera is cheaper, that's a knock against the German brand. The manufacturer indicates in all sources that they drew inspiration from high-end Sonus Faber speakers, probably referring to the Sonetto model. That's a very worthy subject for imitation. I can't fault Premiera for that. If the price was around 100,000, then you could say the newcomer is more expensive than the original, and in my opinion that's unacceptable. But with a price tag under 60,000 rubles, you get a classic 3-way full-size speaker system weighing 21.5 kilograms that definitely looks more expensive than it is. And all this with a warranty of, what? 1 year? 2? No. 3 years. 3 years. But still, how do they sound? Are they worth buying? What's inside? Are they suitable for a home theater? Let's figure it out together, because we need to open them up and see. The technical specifications tell us the following. The competent manufacturer indicates that the nominal power that should be supplied to them is RMS 125 watts. And the maximum they can handle is a full 250 watts. So you can confidently connect the M1 power amp, which is right behind my chair. And all these specs confirm my theory that with watts, just like with butter and porridge, there's no such thing as too much. Forget about those skinny amps that put out 20 or even 40, albeit honest, watts per channel, like an AD. If you don't have a Class A amp, then you should have at least 50 watts under the hood for bookshelf speakers. Floor standers require even more power. Yes, there are exceptions like highly sensitive speakers from Klipsch or vintage gear, but that's a different story. Those are all compromises where you either sacrifice clarity, soundstage and separation, or you become genre-specific. Personally, I always try to build systems that can play everything from classical to heavy metal. Remember the movie Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude Van Damme and of course Dolph Lundgren? He's in great shape now, by the way. Anyway, I loved that movie as a kid. That movie. And the Terminator, which was actually better. So I build systems where you can watch blockbusters without any issues at the highest level. So message me on Telegram or by email and I'll always help you out. By the way, who did you like more? Dolph Lundgren, Jean-Claude Van Damme or Arnie? Who was the coolest action hero? Or maybe it was Sly? Let me know in the comments. The finish is perfect. Usability is 100%. I'll note the following. I tested them with different amplifiers and of course, where did they fully open up? Yes, on my monoblock's 600 watts per channel, the Bristol 7B cubed. If we're talking about more down-to-earth equipment, the M1 power amp also pushed the 631s to their full potential. But let's be honest, those big VU meters demand more expensive speakers, a class or even two higher. After all, they even drove the Dynaudio Contour 60i, which retail for 1.4 million rubles. You can see these Dynaudios now, which I periodically set up and use to test various components. They're very demanding speakers and the M1 still managed to handle them. They're made from high-quality MDF and the cabinet has a lute-shaped cross-section, not just cheap parallel angles. This entire design provides structural rigidity and minimal internal resonances. Diffraction, which occurs in speaker systems, inevitably degrades the sound delivery. Part of the energy radiated by the drivers is re-reflected with a phase shift by the rectangular edges of the cabinet. This results in additional vibrations that introduce distortion into the final sound reproduction. It's commendable that in such inexpensive speakers they've managed to account for these nuances, which certainly add to the production cost because a cabinet like this is, well, much harder to make. I'm immediately comparing them to the cheaper Eco line, where you see simple, blocky cabinets with parallel angles, which again are much easier to manufacture. By the way, the Eco series plays well for its price, but when I see similar speakers for, say, 200,000 or a million rubles, it just makes me sad. How manufacturers shortchange their customers, refusing to use technology to reduce distortion. All this has long been researched. One of the pioneers was mathematician and physicist Jim Thiel-Zembre. Rest in peace, here he is. Look at his acoustics, how he designed them. And all these nuances, all these little things, they of course influence the final playback. Yes, of course, we don't have Bowers or Magic here, but they cost pennies these days and they give you excellent sound. Well then, let's gut it. Our heroes will be hidden with this knife. It's a joke. We'll hide them with a screwdriver, of course. It's a pity for them. They'll still be of use. The listening experience with the Silk 1-inch tweeter and 6.5-inch speakers with long fiber cellulose-based material, which is, by the way, an anisotropic material, which is absolutely a mandatory parameter for acoustics of this level, is extremely positive for me because, well, I tried almost everything on them. They stood there playing with the background and no problem with jazz, classical, and even heavy metal. Honestly, friends, I don't know. For that kind of money, I just can't criticize them. I really don't like them. You know, for those who like that kind of soft presentation, of course, this isn't a clip, who gravitate towards heavy metal, it doesn't want to get out. Well, let's unscrew the mid-range speaker, which looks absolutely the same as the two low-frequency drivers. The speakers play, as far as I remember from the manual, from 30 Hz. It seems to me that they slightly underestimated this indicator, although, you know, their bass is really deep when I compared, but often clients there say to me, let's listen, no problem, I put it on and listen, no problem, we put it on and listen. They say, what if we compare it with Dynaudio, what if we compare it with Martin, what if we compare it with Ballas? Well, you know, the bass in these models, in the budget Premiere, of course, is not as fast and dense as in Martin, these ones that are in the back, but it is, you know, deeper. Okay, let's take out the speaker. Decent in appearance, quite heavy. Look at his basket, look at the spider. Let's disconnect the terminals now. Listen, we have them. Are they soldered on? That's how it is. Even in Bowers, I think they just put them on latches, but here they are soldered. And note that here we have a separated section. That is, the high-frequency speaker is protected by a partition so that less vibration is transmitted to it from both the mid-range speaker and the woofer. Let's open it up here now and take a look. If there is a partition there, then I simply take my hat off to the Premiere engineers. The cable is routed like this, and the cable comes out here. You know, it's a decent-looking cable. Yes, of course, it's not Valhalla. Well, it would be silly to expect that kind of cabling in budget speaker systems. And what's also very important is that it's a branded driver. I mean, even when I open up systems from well-known brands, what do we find inside? It might say something like Sony Acoustics, right? But we take out the driver and it's completely unclear what it is or where it's from. It's definitely not Sony, it's just some generic no-name. Here, we have a driver that's marked as being made for Premiera. So it's not just, you know, I slapped it together from whatever was lying around. This is a specific driver that was made for this speaker system and developed for it with specific parameters. This is undoubtedly a sign of high quality. It's heavy. Should we weigh it? Nah, I don't think so. Just by feel, it's probably, well, just under a kilogram, my friends. Somewhere around there, give or take. Alright, so we've had a look here. Yes, here's the cabinet with these rounded corners. It's all to reduce these diffraction waves. Can I say that? No? Let me know in the comments. And we'll move on. The last little bolt, the little screw. So, is it isolated? No, there's no partition here, although, of course, it really feels like there should be one. And here you can see is the crossover. This, it turns out, is the low frequency driver. In theory, it should be different. Okay, disconnected it, pressed on all the clips. The wire, as you can see, is different. The one for the mid-range is white and black, and here we have red and black. It'll be impossible to mix them up because the terminals are different, you see. This one, the one for the positive, is a little bigger, I take it. Yep, it's even labeled, that's right. And the one for the negative is a little smaller. Let's look at the internals. Here's the crossover. Listen, well, it's well made, everything is good. The bass reflex port, a crucial component, is quite notably long, and it possesses a gentle, almost imperceptible curve to its design. It's certainly not just, like some less meticulous manufacturers who simply stick a basic, unrefined pipe in there without much thought or engineering consideration. As you can see, there's a nozzle on the port which, let's say, improves these turbulent airflows and in turn makes for higher quality sound. So the guys from Premiera thought of these little things, these nuances, and I can say they did a great job. For this budget, this is of course top-notch. And now let's get to the high frequency driver. We examine it from all sides and see that it is DT254. Speaker diameter hi-fi, 4 ohm driver, 50 watt. For what? You can apply for it. Once again, a signature Premiere. I repeat, it is heavy, well made. Well, I don't understand how you can achieve such quality within this budget. Because, well, friends, you can make this acoustics yourself. Let's calculate how much this will cost you. Development, mixing, and so on and so forth. So, no problem, you buy a finished product and get excellent quality. Let me remind you that this is silk, 1 inch. The presentation, this Premiere in general, it's very similar in spirit to DALI with the initial line. No, wait, not with the starting line, the very starting line, but a little higher. DALI Aberon. They are very similar in presentation. And of course, this is a plus, again, the Premiere. I praise them so much that I want to criticize them too. And there is something to criticize for these things, because I don't like non-magnetic grills. Here we have these various items, let's say mounts for these very grills. I asked the developer, the main one, why you didn't install magnetic grills, and they told me that the price would immediately increase significantly. Of course, people wanted to make the most accessible and high quality product. What would I do? Would I install magnetic grills in this case or not? Well, of course, how this acoustics positions itself, that is such an entrance ticket for low price. No, I absolutely wouldn't put it that way at all. So in this particular case, it's a perfectly legitimate and entirely understandable decision to save on certain things like these specific components, and in doing so, give the end user much more in terms of overall sound quality and a truly immersive audio experience, because we'll certainly get over that and not a high quality, meticulously mixed speaker system. Of course, no, in this specific instance, we are right here and we can clearly see that the speakers themselves are truly excellent, possessing remarkable capabilities. So what exactly should we do with them? Let's carefully put them on, and as the delightful cherry on top of this entire setup, let's meticulously examine what we have hidden behind the speaker terminals. This is the final crucial touch, so to speak, and I already know absolutely everything there is to know about them. Again, these particular plugs, oh, how I intensely dislike and truly hate them. And in this specific situation, I unfortunately had to completely remove them, although I would strongly recommend that you carefully connect them. If you choose to use jumpers, we should precisely insert the bright red ones on the very top and the deep black ones on the very bottom, ensuring a secure and proper connection. This is the cable. And believe me, this is the connection, in my opinion. I don't know how many of them I've already had. I've moved hundreds, reconfigured. I like it better. It looks like metal, but of course it's plastic, it's very light, but they played with it really well. It looks really expensive. But when you pick it up, you realize that yes, after all, well, what can I really say? You see everything, no problems, no embellishments. I'm showing you everything. I don't think anyone else can give you this kind of experience. Let's put them back together and then a few more words about their sound. Alright, I've been living with these speakers for 6 months. I've set them up in various houses and apartments, quite a few of them, and I can confidently say that they are worth every single ruble, every investment. A real entry ticket into the world of entry-level hi-fi, even home theater, because with the Delta series you can build a complete system, both 5.1 and Atmos. Because our guys also produce a center channel, bookshelf speakers that you can use for the rears, and even a sub. Although bass machines are a separate category in my systems, for a complete single brand setup, you can confidently add a Premiera sub. Why is this important if you're building a home theater? The fronts and the center must be of the same brand and model. With the rear speakers you can play around, of course, but it's better to stick within the brand. There are thousands of nuances. If you don't want to dig into all of this, write to me. It's a friendly setup for you. You've got paper and silk, and it's a three-way design with a crossover. And if you have a good amplifier, if you have a decent receiver, if again you're building a home theater, as I said, this system allows for upgrades. So please add rear speakers, a center channel, a bass machine from the same Premiera. Everything will be in the same style. Everything will play as cohesively as possible. You'll get a sound field that is, again, uniform. And you'll be watching movies, horror films, cartoons, whatever you want. Or even if you just take the Premiera, for example, their A2 amp, connect it via HDMI to your TV, place these two floor-standing speakers on the sides, and you won't need a sound bar at all. You will get just maximum immersion. And you practically with two powerful 6.5-inch low-frequency drivers, you will absolutely be pressed firmly into your chair if, for example, you play something truly iconic like AC/DC's legendary Thunderstruck, because, well, there is really more than enough sound pressure being generated. And these speaker systems with the proper setup, if you place and set them up properly, and setting up a stereo system isn't just about taking them out and placing them haphazardly. No, there are many small details to consider. And if you want to squeeze all the juice out of them, then please, make an effort. Make sure you get a soundstage. By the way, about the soundstage, it's completely three-dimensional. When I meticulously adjusted the speaker placement here, of course, I immediately heard that the sound quality becomes much, much deeper and more resonant. The audio truly becomes completely detached from the physical speakers themselves, creating an expansive soundstage, and you can genuinely and distinctly feel all these intricate little details and subtle nuances when you thoughtfully play around with the amplifier settings and its various functionalities. There are guys who say the amplifier doesn't matter, that you can use anything. No, friends, the higher the class, the more the sound detaches from these speakers, and you can feel with your eyes closed where each person is in the recording, how they're playing. It's a truly magnificent experience where you can dissect musical tracks with these systems. What are their competitors? Well, there probably aren't any major competitors. I'll be honest, it's nice that our company, a Russian company, makes such products, and it tries to bring the consumer a truly quality product for a minimal price. To criticize them, well, other than for the lack of magnetic grills, I have nothing to criticize them for. Also, in terms of design, I would probably, cover these bolts. But again, like in Bowers, there are these overlaps, and you don't see them. But all this costs much more, and here our budget is minimal. Well, let's listen now, and you can honestly tell me about your good quality headphones if you have any. Even on a phone, you can clearly distinguish, let's say, truly feel the significant difference in stereo sound. Well, and on stereo systems. And you, one might say, will be transported to my room and write in the comments. Fill out the versions in the Telegram channel. So I am glad to hear every opinion. If it is adequate, please write to the point. I read absolutely all comments. We have strict moderation, yes, but the channel is also serious. So thank you, we are listening. Connected Martin, who is 10 times more expensive. Let's listen and find out whether such an overpayment is worth it in this case or not. Let's go.